I will bring our greetings to you again. I am Peter, and I have with me Alfred, brother Alfred, the minister. And he always asks in-depth questions. That shows he's studying his Bible daily. So, what's your question for
Yeah,
today?
all right. So my question is in the book of Genesis, chapter 4. So then I read in the chapter 4, if you read throughout there, you see that God, both Cain and Abel, they brought their sacrifice before the Lord. And then the Lord accepted the sacrifice of Abel, whilst the sacrifice of Cain was rejected. So I want to know why Cain's sacrifice was rejected by the Lord.
Great. A proper way to answer biblical question is always to direct the attention of the reader to the Bible. So we go to Hebrews chapter 11, verse 4. The Bible says in Hebrews chapter 11, verse 4, it says, "For by faith Abel offered to God a more excellent sacrifice than Cain." By faith, he offered to God a more excellent sacrifice. So his sacrifice was excellent, was a proper sacrifice. And that's why it was accepted. Now, if you study through the Bible, especially in the Old Covenant, that when I said Old Covenant, I'm talking about the old agreements, the agreement that God had with man initially, and then now we are under a new agreement. So in the old agreement, um, worshippers, people of God, were to approach God by sacrifice and offering. And the reason why God introduced sacrifice and offering was because of sin. When sin came, when Adam and Eve sinned, the Bible says they were spiritually dead. That means spiritually they were separated from God. Is that also? And so to bring them back to God, to bring reconciliation with God, God introduced the act of sacrifice, propitiation, so that the sinner can find forgiveness, and the sin of the sinner can be covered through the blood of the animal. So God introduced sacrifice and offering. In our own time, in this new covenant, we are approaching God through the sacrifice of Jesus Christ. So Cain came to God by his time. He came to God by his time. He didn't come to God by God's time. And so that's why he was rejected. And when Bible says Abel came to God by faith, it means that he came to God by God's time. And so he was pleasing to God. When we come to God by how we decide, how we feel, how we want, that's not faith. That's why Bible says without faith, it is impossible to please God. So you must come to God by God's ways, by God's time. You understand? That is why God told Cain. He said to Cain, Cain, he said, if you do what is right, that's a revelation. That's just a revelation to tell you, to tell us that he didn't do what was right in regard to his sacrifice. He didn't do what was right. God said, if you do what is right, you'll be accepted. But if you do what is wrong, you'll be rejected. Sin lies at the door. So the reason for his rejection, there was sin at the door of his heart. There was sin. And he has to deal with the sin first. So in Old Testament time, to come to God as a sinner, you have to offer a sin sacrifice first. So you understand that Cain did not bring the appropriate sacrifice. Maybe he brought, because he was a farmer and Abel was a shepherd, maybe he brought a grain offering to God. He brought a flour offering to the Lord as a sinner. That was not the proper offering to bring initially as a sinner. There must be a sacrificial offering to the Lord. There must be the shedding of blood to deal with sin. So that's how Old Testament people relate. And that is why today how we relate with God is through the blood of Jesus Christ. Through the Bible says, without the shedding of blood, there's no forgiveness of sin. So there was sin in the life of Cain. And to deal with that sin, there must be a blood sacrifice. And I believe that Cain didn't bring the proper sacrifice. That was why he was rejected. But Abel brought a proper sacrifice. And so he was accepted. Yeah, I hope you learned something. Okay.